Hey guys, welcome back to my little classroom here. So from what I was understanding, the project that I give to you guys today, some of you are a little lost on it, and 45 minutes isn't enough to individually sit you down and explain to you what you're supposed to do. Do not overthink this. I know some of you guys like to read things that are not there. Okay, so we're going to go over this whole piece of paper, and I'm going to actually make my little creature. We're going to name him. We're going to first need a few items. So if you have the items, awesome. If you don't because you missed a day or whatever, that's perfectly fine. You can get them from me at later. This is not due until Tuesday, mind you. I'm sorry, I'm getting things up off my desk because you know science in my house is always crazy. Okay, so the first couple of materials you're going to need a pair of scissors, some colored paper. I chose green. I have two. Make sure you have two pieces of paper, okay? Scissors, paper, and you're going to need some glue, which I have some glue here, or some stick glue or a stapler will work just fine. Now, the paper that I am referring to is this one here. It is the Photosynthesis and Cellular Respiration Diagram Assignment. Now, I know some of you were reading this in class and you kind of got a little panicked. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. I promise. I am here to walk you through it. Okay, so it says photosynthesis and cellular respiration are the process that rely on one another. Using your notes and your textbook as a source, create a diagram or a model to show the relationship between the two. Both processes must be connected. Okay, so that is all underlined. So I'm going to take my favorite writing tool, which we all know is my green pen, and I'm going to go back underneath that underline area, and I'm going to underline create a model, all the way from create a model to connect. I'm going to circle that whole section because I think that's really important, because I think that's the main section that you guys are really not connecting. All you want to do is show the relationship between the two organelles, all right? So in your diagram, you are going to see how I already have it circled right there? Okay, now I'm going to circle from here all the way down to right there, all right? I'll show you in just a second. Just take my pen. It says in your diagram, you must include, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. And there's some things on the bottom that we're going to circle that we're going to need. Okay. Now we have that all nice and circle. Well, I shouldn't really say circle. Well, yeah, it's circled. It's not really a circle, more of like an oblong. So in your next set down here, those first two sentences, it says, other items you should consider to earn the highest possible grade. Now those first two there, this is adding color appropriately and neatly. And the second one that says completing a neat and mess-free diagram. You're going to circle those because that is required in my class. I do not want it to look like you let the dog chew on it, okay? So you're going to circle those two. You're going to circle adding color appropriately and neatly, which means color in the lines, and completing a neat and mess-free diagram, okay? So I'm going to switch my favorite green pen out now to a black pen. No, you guys are always seem to be here. All right, here's my black. So I have my black felt tip pen, and I'm now going to move. The first off, we're going to move on to one of these sheets of green paper. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to have it what's called portrait style, which is up and down. This is landscape. I'm going to do my portrait. The first, we have to sit here and say to ourselves, what is this asking us to make? Do you remember? Okay, so what it's asking you to make is a plant cell. Now, if you were in class, whether you be online class or my face-to-face class, you already know that you need a plant cell. Now, I told you guys that you can really have fun with this And if you wanted to make little plant cell monsters, you can absolutely do that. So I'm going to draw out a basic sketch of what a plant cell is. Okay, I'm not going to add in all of the parts. I'm just going to draw like a circle type of shape. Not quite a perfect circle, but a pretty decent one. And I'm going to fill up my whole entire page. Sorry, I'm moving you guys so much. So I'm going to fill up my whole page. Because he's going to look like an egg. Right? So, you see my shape there? Takes up the whole thing. Now I did this with my black pen. You guys, if you don't want to do it with a pen or a marker, you can definitely do it with pencil or a colored pencil. So if you do it with a pencil and you make a mistake and you're not happy with it, you can just erase. You guys know how I feel about art. I love art, but do you need to be a perfect artist? Am I a perfect artist? Can I draw a straight line to save my life? No, because we're learning what? We're learning 8th grade science. So I'm going to look at my plant cell we have here, and I am going to say, what goes inside of a plant cell? What are the 2 things that cause photosynthesis and cellular respiration? Do you remember? The first one is photosynthesis. So we're going to think about the photosynthesis one for a second, and we're going to say, what organelle creates photosynthesis? What is that called? That is called the chloroplast. So chloroplasts are green, but again, this is all for outlining. So I'm going to make this green shape, and that's going to be my chloroplast. And then I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to get a light green colored pencil. Here we go. Light green colored pencil, and I'm going to add in my chlorophyll. Remember, chloroplast, and you have to fill chlorophyll, fill in the chloroplast. And I'm going to make it look like green pancakes. Ooh, this is not working too hot for me. We will change it up in just a second. Let's see. Maybe my favorite green pen will work better. Ooh, green pen works better. All right, my favorite green pen works better on the green paper. So we're going to add in my stacked pancakes, right? Because that's all chlorophyll really looks like, stacked little pancakes. Now, does he have to be perfect? No. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what I have so far. So do you see that? There's my chlorophyll. And by the time I'm done, his whole chlorophyll, the chloroplast will be completely full of the chlorophyll with the appropriate color. Now remember, do not make your chloroplast red or blue. They are green. Okay, I will deduct points for incorrect colors. So we're going to do that. All right. So fill that in. So now I'm going to sit and think to myself, what is the second thing that we're talking about today? We are talking about cellular respiration. Now, what organelle makes that? Did you say mitochondria? Because if you did, you're absolutely right. You guys are smart. Okay, so I'm going to sketch out a mitochondria. Use this oblong shape. And I remember mitochondria and maze, because the inside of a mitochondria, to me, looks like a maze. And does it have to be perfect? No, it does not. Boop. Now I'm going to show you guys what the mitochondria looks like before we color him in as well. Do you see him? Now you see he's starting to come together? Yeah? So now we're going to go back to our, our white paper. Now we're going to do a little check-off list. See our white paper? Now we're going to go to the top list here, and we're going to do some check marks. So I'm going to get my favorite green writing tool, and I'll move some stuff around. And I'm going to say, do we have a title? No, not yet. Okay? Each organelle that takes place. Ooh, do we have each organelle that takes place in its appropriate color? Yes, we do. We're going to check that off. Yay! The name of the process that occurs during the organelle. Do we know it? We're going to put that on the back of it. Okay, but do we know what they're called? Yeah? Good. So we don't want to mess up the face of our monster. So here's our monster, and we're just going to turn it over, and right about here, we're going to write chloroplast, and right about here, we're going to write chlorophyll. So I'm going to write chloroplast. And then right about here, I'm going to write the Mr. Mitochondria. Okay, so it's right there on the back of each one. You'll see why I did that in a minute. So now we have them labeled. I'm going to check him off. Nice little check. Word equation of the process. Oh, do we have our textbooks with us? If you don't, you may, if you're doing this at home, which some of you are, you may use Google, but for those of you who do have our textbook, this is the textbook you use. You're going to go to page 419. Page 419 gives us the words that we need, and we like something that gives us to us. All right, so on page 419 for photosynthesis, oh, look, for those of you who were in quarantine, that you were gone for a while, you already underlined it. Do you see where you underlined it? Yes, I'm so excited for that. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to look at what we need to write. Oh, it actually gives us a diagram of what the diagram would look like if we were not making a monster, but we're making a plant monster, so we want it to be cool. So we're looking first at our chloroplast, see our green pancakes and our energy. So what do we need? What goes inside chloroplast? Very good. Water and carbon dioxide, and what comes out is the oxygen and the sugars. So I'm going to take my green, no, I'm not going to take my green pen this time. I am going to switch it up because I want some colors. So I'm going to take a yellow pen because I'm doing it on green paper, and I'm going to draw arrows from my eye to my mouth, from my eye to my mouth, okay? So I'm going to draw 1, 2, this marker's not working either. And then on the other side, I'm going to go from my mouth to my eye, from my mouth to my eye. Then I'm going to say 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I'm going to label them. Here, I'm going to show you what I did. You know, you can't really see it all that well, but you see those lines I made right here? We're going to turn it to the side like this, landscape, and I'm going to write an arrow. So chloroplast going into the mitochondria, mitochondria going into the chloroplast, and then I'm going to do the same on this side, going in, coming out, because that's what it essentially says to do, right? So if you're looking and you're reading along with me or before me, you'll see where it says to do that. So now what do I need to write? So if I have it, so here, I have those arrows. So mitochondria going in, chloroplast going. So mitochondria going up, chloroplast coming down. So for this outside line here, for my outside arrow, I am going to write water. Okay, and then for my other line, the inside line where the chloroplast, all the ones where the chloroplast going into the mitochondria, that's what we're going to put in there. So what is going into it? Carbon dioxide. What's coming out of it is sugar and oxygen. So you want to make sure that you're labeling everything. So I'm going to put, instead of saying sugar, I'm going to say glucose. Because when you hear sugar, you automatically think of a 5-pound bag of sugar that's sold at Walmart. When I think of sugar, I think of what goes inside in the plant cycles. You guys aren't there yet. So do not write sugars. I will accept it if you have already and you wrote it in pen. That's fine. But I want you guys to get really familiar with writing the word glucose. Okay? And then I want you to take it a step further, and I want you to write C6H12O6, which is glucose. I know, I'm making you struggle. I'm so sorry. So we get sugar. And then we have oxygen, which I'm going to write O2 on mine. You guys can write O2 as well when you're labeling those. So that you can think about it as your little monster has really cool face tattoos. So this is what he looks like. Okay. So you can really start to gussy this little guy up. So this little guy, his inside mouthpiece, I need to color him red. Do I have a red up here on my desk? No. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. I only have browns. That's not like me. We will color him in orange. So I'm just going to shade him in orange. Right? I'm going to shade him in orange. Ooh, okay. Box of crayons. All right. So let's see what we have in our big box of crayons. Ooh, red. So I'm going to color in my mitochondria. Now the color for mitochondria is red. Okay, so I'm going to color in my mitochondria. See, this is the fun part. So this, I give you guys 5 days to get this project done. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it, right? So I'm going to color in some the finer details. Since he's a monster, he's going to have big red lips. Okay. Now, again, I will be showing you how to do the alternative to this assignment. It's the same thing, just without drawing the monster. I'm going to just draw that on regular white piece of paper. So we're going to color in his lips, nice and red, making pretty. Big old Kim K lips. So, what is the purpose? So, our next question, as I'm looking at my paper, do I have what I need? Okay, so I have on page 419, I already wrote down on the back, because remember, don't write anything in these corners because I'm going to cut this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on a separate piece of paper, since this is going to be my little monster, I'm going to write on a piece of white paper all of the things. So I'm going to write down the word equation, and I'm going to write the word equation, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Okay, so I am just going to sit here, and I am going to color him and make him all fancy, make him all nice. Takes just a few seconds just to get them little details in there. I want you guys to really understand that sometimes science can seem really boring, but sometimes it can be fun because we could incorporate art into our science projects sometimes. And I think this would be a good break for you guys. So he's almost all colored in with his lips. I have chappy lips. It's from a SpongeBob reference, by the way. Okay, almost. And we are finito. Okay, so there's his big red lips. There's his big red lips. Now I'm going to look at my, get my scissors out, get them ready. Okay, let's see. Oh, so we can go ahead and check some more things off on our list. So I'm going to get my writing tool again. And where it says the required reactants for each process shown moving into and moving out of. So we can go ahead and check off both of those. So that one is good and that one is good because that's when we made those lines from the eye to the mouth, from the eye to the mouth, and mouth to the eye, and the mouth to the eye. When we did those and you labeled those, that's done. Okay? A description of the purpose of each process. What's the purpose of each process? Why does a process have to take place? That's what you're going to write on a smaller piece of paper, okay, or write on the back of your monster. Which type of organisms, oh, it says, which type of organisms do each process? Did we not just say mitochondria and chloroplast? And do you not have them labeled? So you don't have to do that one again. You can check that one off right now. I'm going to do it right now for you. Let's see. Boop, boop. All right, and it says, explain the role of chlorophyll. What do our green pancakes do? If any of you guys were paying attention in class the past 2 weeks, you'll already know what chlorophyll is and what its main purpose is for. If you don't, go back and watch the other videos, and I explain it to you. Okay? So we're basically almost completely done with this little guy. We just get to have fun with it. And it says 3 to 5 sentences on the back or on a separate piece of paper, because we're going to make these little guys and put them in our window because they're so cute. Okay, it says explain why these processes are so closely linked that scientists call them mirror processes. Why are they called a mirror process? And this is where you get to be at home and you get to use your technology. You don't have your book. It doesn't really, I've read this whole section. It doesn't really say why it's called the mirror process. But why is it called a mirror process? Okay? So you guys are going to, that's the only thing you guys really, really have to do for me, is you guys are going to have to do some research on your own and do it. Now I'm going to take my cutting tool, and I'm going to cut out my little monster. Okay. Make him look absolutely adorable. That's almost my end result. So this is what I've come up with. I'm going to take my little bits and put them over to the side. Okay, so he's so sweet. He's so precious. So I'm going to take my green writing utensil and I'm going to color in my green chloroplast. Right, color him in. So as long as your mitochondria is green and as long as your mitochondria is red and your chloroplast is green, your cell itself can be any color you want because it's your monster. So if you want him to be orange, he can be orange. If you want him to be yellow, he can be yellow. If you want him to be white, he can be white. That's perfectly fine with me. Okay, so we're just going to color him in and make him look nice and neat. I'm going to add a little bit more detail in a little bit, but right now I'm going to show you guys something really cool. So I'm going to take this and we're going to take it back to first grade. I'm going to fold the paper in half, hot dog style. You guys know what hot dog style means. Press it down, get that nice edge on there for me. And I'm going to fold it up again, hot dog style one more time. And I'm going to press it down nice and flat. So what your end result should look like before you cut with your cutting tool, you should have this. Okay? So now, because I think I told you guys before that I do love to quilt. So I'm not going to open this whole thing up and cut one at a time. I'm going to show you. See this right here? See that little thing right there? I'm going to put my tool right there and just go straight up. Does it have to be perfect? No. Is he a monster? Absolutely. So, there's the first one, and now we have the next set. So once you see how it's like this, let's do is cut up that way. He is also cut. Now, I can make him rounded. For him feetsies. We give him some SpongeBob looking legs. Oh, that's a sound. There we go. There's a leg. Looks like a leg, right? And then you're just going to attach him like this to the back. There's his legs. So I have named my little guy, his name, if you guys were paying attention to me in class today, you already know what his name is, and I put him on paper. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, but I don't want to make a monster. Is there an alternative assignment to this? Well, it's the same exact assignment, only not making a monster. So let's search the house. Get us some plain paper, which is perfectly fine if you want to use plain paper, and you're just going to go through your checklist. So I am going to get my favorite, no, not this one. We're going to get a regular pen because we're doing regular work now instead of making arms and legs and making a really fun monster. If you want to do just a basic assignment, that's perfectly fine. So we're going to put a title on it. I'm going to label it the sad plant diagram. Okay. And I'm just going to go right back over everything that we highlighted at the beginning of the video. So if you didn't want to see any of that monster stuff, you could just fast forward here. Okay. So just going back over this check mark. Do we have a title? Yes, I called it the plant diagram. Okay, title, check. It says what organelle takes place in the process. So you do have to make some kind of something on paper, okay? So I'm going to draw just one circle. I'm going to draw another circle, and then I'm going to say, I'm just going to label it. So I'm going to put an arrow stating, what is this? Chloroplast. And then this one here, mitochondria, or as some of you like to call her, Cassandra. Okay, so this is what mine looks like right now, chloroplast, mitochondria, and inside the chloroplast, again, you still have to use colors. Again, you still have to do the labeling. You still have to do the same work. The only reason why I suggested making the monster is because I wanted it to be a little bit more fun. If you don't want to do that way, that's perfectly fine, right? You can also do it this way, or, like I said before, you guys could definitely do some kind of really cute little plant. Like, I'm really good at drawing a leaf. I don't know why. So, a leaf. Okay, draw me a leaf. Stem in the middle with the veins coming out. See, a leaf. All right, so and then you can do what's called scoping, which means you just draw a circle, and then you put an arrow to it, and then you write out the descriptions of what's happening inside the circle. So this is the basic what it looks like. This is what Miss Rayner's gonna have her kids do. But you guys, I want you guys to make like a monster. I want you guys to make a little person, and I want it to be like really, really cute. You can give them teeth and all that stuff. But if you don't, this is what you want to do the basic. We'll do the basic, okay? But you're still gonna need not just a pen, but you're gonna need the appropriate colors, okay? So I will get out my green pen, and I'm going to put in green lines on the inside, little stacks of pancakes all the way up. I'll do 2 stacks of pancakes. And then I'm going to take my writing tool again, this one, and I'm going to make an arrow pointing and saying chloroplast and chlorophyll. That's what you're going to point to. So then my chloroplast is here, my chlorophyll is here, okay? And then I'm going to say mitochondria, okay? And then I'm going to draw that, that squiggly, zigzaggy type of pattern on the inside. And then I'm going to take my same writing utensil and I'm going to make just some lines like I did before where they're connecting. Just as long as the two organelles are connecting with inside the cell, okay? Because they're normally sitting like right on top of each other, so they can sit here. See how I'm doing this? That's what they're basically doing all of the time. It's crazy. So again, we have my lines. We're going to label the lines, okay? We've labeled our mitochondria, we've labeled our chlorophyll, and we have labeled the chloroplast. Now we need to label the lines. So the lines that are going in, the things that the mitochondria are doing, they're doing ATP, they're doing water, which is H2O, and they're doing carbon dioxide. That is CO2. Okay, and then what is the relationship between that? Is they are doing the oxygen, which is O2, and they are doing the glucose. Remember, I wanted you guys to stop using the word sugar and start using the word glucose. And that's Glucose. There's no other L. There's only one L in glucose. It's cose. C-O-S-E, cose. Okay? So it's all labeled. And then all you have to do from that point is color it in and follow the rest of the directions. So again, you can check it off. You have the title. You have the organelle in the appropriate colors. Yes, you do. Check, check, check. You have your arrows going in, arrows coming out with them all labeled perfectly. And then your chlorophyll, you're going to give me an explanation. Basically, what I'm asking is, what is chlorophyll? What is chlorophyll? That's it. Don't read into that question, all right? I'm just asking, what is chlorophyll? So what is it? What is chlorophyll's purpose? Like I said, if you've seen the video, not the last video, but the video before, I do give a very in-detailed description of what chlorophyll is and its purpose, because it's squishy and it's fun. Okay? So then the last thing you have to do is write on the very back, if this is what you're handing me, on the back of this, there needs to be a good paragraph that's 3 to 5 sentences long of what is happening inside here. Why is it called the mirror process? Okay? Now, I don't want anybody to panic and think that you have to have this. If you're doing a 3D art project for me, yes, I will take it, absolutely. If you are doing this for me, yes, absolutely, I will take it. Do I appreciate everything that you guys do for me? Yes, I do. All right, my guys, I will see you in the morrow, which is the tomorrow, in the Tomorrowlands, or maybe the next day. And we'll be doing a lab, which I will be giving instructions once again on a YouTube video on how to do that lab. And next week, we're going to play with a microscope. So I hope to see all of you tomorrow and next week. Bye, guys. Have a great night.